Come closer, my child. Yes, sit here by my side. You know, when you get to my age, memories become like old buildings. Some crumble, some fade, but a few stay standing, tall and strong, no matter how many years pass. Tonight, I want to take you on a journey to a city built from memories like that. A city I never lived in, but one I feel I've walked through 1,000 times because of the stories my own grandfather told me. A city so alive that even the wind carries ambition. That place is New York. You see, today people talk about New York as the land of skyscrapers and bright lights. They think of Wall Street, Times Square, giant towers touching the clouds. But long before all that, New York was small, simple, wild even. A place where immigrants arrived with nothing but a suitcase, a name, and a dream. My grandfather was one of them, just a boy when he crossed the ocean in the early 1900s, clutching a bag full of bread and hope. He used to say, "A city is like a person. It grows, it changes, it makes mistakes, and it rises again." And New York? New York was the greatest example of that. Back in the very beginning, before any of us were born, New York wasn't even called New York. It was New Amsterdam, a Dutch settlement with little wooden houses, slanted roofs, and streets so narrow that two horses could barely pass each other. The Dutch didn't build tall, they built cozy. Their homes were simple, strong, and snug against the cold wind sweeping off the harbor. My grandfather told me that when he first learned about those wooden houses, he imagined them smelling of pine and sea salt, windows glowing like lanterns during winter nights. He said those early buildings looked like children's toys compared to what came later, but they were the seeds of everything. Then the English arrived. And with them, brick. Red. Solid. Lasting brick. Brick houses. Brick shops. Brick roads. New York began to feel permanent, like it had finally planted its feet firmly into the ground. The English rebuilt the city in their style. Wider streets, sturdier buildings. They renamed it New York. And just like that, the city entered a new chapter. As decades passed, ships arrived carrying people from every part of the world. Irish fleeing famine, Italians chasing opportunity, Jewish families seeking safety, Germans escaping poverty, African Americans traveling from the South in search of dignity, Chinese workers crossing oceans for a Kristen Min. New start. Every one of them brought their own architectural flavor. You could walk one block and hear Italian music, walk the next and smell Chinese spices, then turn a corner and find Jewish bakeries packed with warm bread. Their buildings reflected their stories. Tight balconies in Little Italy, colorful storefronts in Chinatown, brownstones in Harlem. New York became a living mosaic, millions of lives woven into wood, brick, and stone. But then came a turning point, the Great Fire of 1835. A bitter winter night, icy winds, flames sweeping faster than water could stop. My grandfather said the fire was so bright you could read a newspaper by the glow. Hundreds of wooden buildings burned. Families stood in the snow holding whatever they could save. Shops turned to ash. It was a moment of despair. But New York has never been a city that stays down. From the ashes rose a new idea cast iron. Stronger, safer, more beautiful than wood. The cast iron buildings of Soho began to rise, with grand columns and intricate designs. They looked like palaces of metal lace. My grandfather told me that these buildings proved something important. From tragedy can rise creativity. Then came the invention that changed everything, steel. And right along with it, elevators. Suddenly, buildings weren't limited by how many stairs people could climb. Suddenly, the sky became reachable. The late 1800s were like a race upward. Builders competed to see who could touch the clouds first. The Flatiron Building appeared sharp, bold, standing like a ship cutting through wind. The Woolworth Building rose next, a cathedral of commerce, so beautiful inside that even the light seemed humbled. People stared up at these new towers with awe, whispering as if they were looking at giants.
Then came the Roaring '20s, and with it, the golden age of Art Deco. Oh, my child, and if buildings could dance, these ones did. The Chrysler Building shot into the sky with a crown that sparkled like the rays of dawn. Its shining metal curves made people gasp even from miles away. And the Empire State Building, the king of them all, rose at a pace no one thought possible. Workers hung thousands of feet in the air, eating lunch on steel beams. My grandfather would close his eyes and imagine them swinging their feet over the empty air, fearless, determined, refusing to give up. He used to say, those men didn't just build a tower, they built hope. And he was right. But New York's story isn't only in grand towers. It's also in the sweat of immigrants who carried bricks, laid tracks, carved stones, and painted walls. Italians built entire neighborhoods. African American workers powered construction. Jewish and Irish craftsmen shaped the city. Chinese workers created vibrant districts. Everyone left a mark. You see, the beauty of New York architecture is that it was built by many hands, many cultures, many dreams. Every building is a tribute to the courage of someone who refused to let life defeat them. As time moved on, the city embraced modernism. Buildings became sleek, made of glass and steel. Instead of heavy stone, architects chose clean lines and open spaces. Towers like the Seagram Building stood tall, elegant, minimal. New York was stepping into the future, and the skyline began to look like a crystal forest. Then came the tragedy that shook the world. September 11th, 2001. Two great towers fell, and with them fell pieces of thousands of lives. My child, a building is not only made of steel, it holds memories, footsteps, laughter, and love. When those towers fell, the city wept, the world wept. But once again, New York showed its strength, because cities, like people, must heal. And healing takes courage. Years later, One World Trade Center rose, not as a replacement, but as a symbol, tall, dignified, reflective. When the sun hits its glass, it shines like a promise. We will rise again. And that is what New York has always done, rise. Today, New York continues to change. Skyscrapers climb higher than ever, thin like pencils, but strong enough to withstand storms. Green buildings grow plants on rooftops, turning the city into a garden in the sky. Old stations, parks, and bridges are restored so the past and future can stand side by side. Even abandoned rail lines have become parks floating above the streets. New York never settles. It keeps dreaming. And now, my child, let me tell you why I share this story. Not because you asked about buildings, but because architecture is more than walls and windows. It is the story of people who arrived with nothing and built everything. People who carved their pain into strength, their hope into steel, their dreams into skylines.